You are listening to the Nightly News Podcast, the voice of the Knights.
Welcome, everybody, to the Nightly News Podcast. This is Professor Paul Miller, and I am so honored to be joined anytime I am in the studio with a Nightly News Hall of Famer. Of course, it is always my pleasure to be here. This time, I am here with Nightly News Hall of Famer, recently inducted, Andrew Hunter. Andrew, welcome back to the podcast.
Always look forward to being here, Paul.
Well, gosh, it's our pleasure to have you, as I mentioned. Also being joined by Nightly News reporter Arsenio Humphrey. Arsenio, welcome back in your own right.
Hello, world.
We love having Arsenio here. Arsenio, one of our key Nightly News sports reporters, is going to be every term's working on something to try to highlight our athletics program. His last article you can find in our commemorative publication is about the wonderful season that the Central Penn Knights men's soccer team had at the national tournament. So we will talk, you can certainly look in the publication for that. But why we are here today is to cover one of the stories that, sort of the postscript, if you will, from one of the big stories that we wrote last term, and that is about Andrew setting a Guinness World Record for longest pickleball match at 48 hours. So that's what we're going to be talking about today with Andrew. First of all, before we get started, Andrew, I know that I've done this and maybe to an embarrassment at certain times, but I want to again congratulate you for being a part of our Nightly News Hall of Fame. The opportunity that we had to honor you and the others at homecoming was a day that I'll never forget. It's something that we put a lot of time and energy into doing, and something that I hope is meaningful to you and your experiences here. Just as you look back at that day, what is something that you recall that was an interesting point, or maybe something you weren't expecting?
Definitely my speech. So I wrote my whole speech out, and then after the first sentence, I forgot where I was on my speech. So I just talked from the heart there, and then my mom recorded the whole thing, and it was just really special for her to see me exceed.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is one of the things I try to share with a lot of the Hall of Famers is it's almost like graduation. In a sense, when you walk across that stage, it's almost like a formality for you, but it's really for those people who are in the audience and those people who are there and supported you along the way, friends, family, loved ones. And I'm so glad that your mom was there, and I'm so glad that she got to hear our discussions about the importance that you have had in our organization. Not only just then, but one of the great things about you is you're still part of athletics. And so you're still somebody who I can rely on to help us with the things that we're doing. I mean, I always remember one of the things that you always did, which was so helpful during baseball, is you'd always make sure to have the lineup cards. And, the first game is not too bad. It's between the first and second game, and we got 15, 20 minutes to get that together. So I just wanted to thank you. That was just one small thing. But again, I can't thank you enough. And I'm going to give you the same guff that I gave Abby. I took everybody out afterward for dinner, and you and Abby both blew me off.
Yeah, we had the soccer games, and then Casey and Kenton need some help from me on that, so I need to be there for that.
Of course, and of course I jest. I did say to Abby, though, that I still owe the two of you a dinner, and I insist on, maybe in the springtime or when it gets nicer out or after baseball or something, I insist on taking the both of you out to celebrate this accomplishment, even though it's after the fact, because it's something that I like to do in sort of a more informal way. So I owe you a dinner, my friend, at Duke's. So maybe once baseball season's over, we'll find some time that we can do that.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I don't want to belabor the point here. You experienced something that I can almost guarantee nobody on this podcast has ever experienced, and that is putting up a Guinness World Record for longest pickleball match. This happened over Thanksgiving weekend. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it started on Black Friday and ran through essentially Sunday. Arsenio and I were both fortunate enough to be witnesses to this, which is one of the requirements of Guinness. And so we want to talk about this experience. But Andrew, I want to first start off with, how did you get involved with playing pickleball, a sport that is, ravaging the nation with how popular it is? How did you first get involved in this?
Well, I first played in high school in gym class, and that wasn't really anything serious. My mom thought it was actually a made-up sport.
Well, I mean, aren't all sports made up, realistically? I guess your mom's not too far off.
She actually, I'm pretty sure she either wrote a letter to the school board or the principal. She was fed up with it. So after high school, I didn't play at all. But until college with Kevon Davis, Blake Myers, Dalton Kohler, we all went to Adams Rickey Park and just got wooden paddles, played every night from 9 to 11. So that was like the dead time at the park. And then after college, we played a couple times, and then I got a job at Ace Pickleball Club Enola. And then ever since, pickleball has been a huge part of my life, playing tournaments, working there, of course, every day, and then just meeting so many great people in the process.
Now, just maybe for people, and I'd be shocked if people don't know what pickleball is. Now, I am a tennis player. I haven't played for a little while, but I played tennis since I was a kid. Love tennis. I've always had some negative concerns about pickleball, but let's just be honest. Talk to me a little bit about, first of all, did you ever play tennis?
I tried it twice, and I completely hated it.
It's not for everybody, but so tell me, what was it about pickleball that you gravitated to? I mean, I obviously understand the camaraderie, and that's part of what we're going to talk about today, but tell me a little bit more about how you got to the point where you're not only just playing pickleball, but playing competitively.
So I like to compare pickleball and tennis as pickleball being chess and tennis being checkers.
That is unreal that you said that.
It's like pickleball is more like chess at 100 miles an hour, especially with the dinking and the drop shots.
You do the same thing in tennis, I might add.
Well, the dinking part, it's a little bit more strategic on making players go wide, not pattern locking, and just it's really more like making your mind think during a game, which during soccer I never really had to do that. I just had to catch the ball and not let it go past me. So it's more of just like a strategically thinking, what are these players' weaknesses? Where do I go? Always focus on the backhand of the left side player, and just stuff like that just gets me like my mind going.
I love that. Arsenio, now as we start trying to talk about this situation and about how you worked your way into even thinking that this was possible, what are your thoughts at this point as we go into it? I know you're very familiar with the situation.
All right, so you mentioned earlier that you liked pickleball more than tennis. What made you gravitate towards pickleball? Was it more like the smaller court, or like you were in control?
Definitely the smaller court, just because I had a very severe knee injury in high school.
Okay.
And then for tennis, it's like you have to go back and forth. And then I could easily play doubles, and then I could even play singles in pickleball because I can cover the court more easily. What gravitated, it was just like I said, the strategic play, and then the dinking was the big part because I'm not an aggressive person, but I can get aggressive, of course, with dinking. So that's the really big part of the pickleball game that really made me like fired up about it.
You're an aggressive person on the soccer field. I remember your final homecoming match, and I was doing photography. It was almost like I was watching a different person in front of me.
Yeah, soccer gets me going too, and yeah.
Well, I want to talk briefly about how this came to be. So in an article from the Nightly News, President Noah Lopez did basically a preview of this back in November, and it was talking about how the previous world record for longest pickleball match stood at 36 hours, set by a group out of Texas, but that your goal was to one-up that to get to 48. When did this thought process with the other three folks, and I will put that article along with this for context, when did this idea about doing a 48-hour pickleball marathon really take shape?
Well, it was a random September morning. I was working at Ace, and then the other contestant, Steve Lesko, who was on the other team, came up to me and was like, would you want to try this? I'm like, why not? I got nothing else to do.
Why not? Stay up for 2 straight days?
Yeah, why not? Steve is an interesting person as well. But, yeah, it was really weird. At first I thought it was a joke. As the other two, Renee and the other Steve, we thought it was just a joke, and he was just talking, but he would just kept asking, let's do it, let's set a date, and it wasn't even the original date we decided on. We were going to do it right after Christmas, but then we got to Guinness approval, so we moved it up.
So, how does that process work? Like, how do you mentally prepare, and how do you even get Guinness involved? You just reach out to them, or
Yeah, so you have to apply for each record you do.
Okay.
You have to put your expected date you're going to do it, what you think you're going to do. Are you going to do it for charity? You're going to have it media, all that fun stuff. It took about a day of just fully thinking about everything to really apply. But we got approval within, I think, 3 weeks, and it usually like a 7-week process.
Really?
Yeah.
So it actually went a lot faster than you anticipated, and that's
yeah.
why you moved the date up. So okay, so we're coming to. We've decided that we're going to do this. You're all bought in. One of the things that I really appreciated, and I'm actually interested in maybe other people who have attempted to do this. You guys took a more philanthropic approach in that, again, I'll put this article along with it, but each of you played for your own individual charities. I do want to point out, one of the things that I was really taken aback by was that you, and this is quoting Noah's article, that you chose to play for your church's homelessness fund, which he connected after producing a class video on homelessness in Harrisburg, which I might add was for my class
Yes.
that you took with me. And I remember that video, and I remember the impact that it had on you. And obviously, like, that just goes to show you how these type of experiential learning projects can have a significant impact on a person. So tell me about how this was the charity that you decided that you want to do, and maybe even just reflecting back to the documentary video that you did for my video production class.
My church is really heavily involved in the Harrisburg scene of the homelessness, which is Market Square Presbyterian. It's right on 2nd Street.
is that the one right across the street from the bus station?
From the Hilton. It's right down the street.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And we do like Friday night dinners, Saturday morning food pantry, Sunday morning breakfast for all the homeless guests. And we actually just launched a new program with a doctor who's going to come on scene and going to do free consultations and everything.
That's excellent.
And I've been doing that involved with that since young, like maybe 12 years old. A lot of youth groups stuff and stuff like that. But I think that's one of our bigger ministries at the church, and I just wanted to help impact that as much as I could.
And I think that's fantastic. And again, I don't want to downplay any of the other organizations that were put on by the other folks, Renee Saipo, Steve Lesko, and Steve Dunham, in addition to this. And again, we can continue to refer people back to this article that Noah did. But that, when I first read this article, that just blew me away. The fact that years later, I mean, this was at least 2022, 2023, that you're recalling back to one specific assignment that you did in one of my classes as the reason why that you picked this charity to support. I mean, I think that's really, truly fantastic, and thank you for that very much. All right, so let's talk about the day, okay? One of the greatest things on my end was that you asked me if I would be able to come over and be a witness as well as Arsenio, and of course, we'll talk about our experiences being witnesses. The day is here. Just run us through the next 48 hours in whatever way you feel is best to kind of communicate this information.
Well, before the whole 48 hours, I was doing most of the administrative work, and then I had to find most of the witnesses, which was horrible. At first, I was only doing 4-hour shifts, so I could just get so many people. But then people were going to say, I don't want to do 4-hour shifts. And then I was like, okay, let's do 2. And then people was like, 2 might be a little much. Okay, 1. And so I cupped up at 1. And then so I ended up getting, Steve Lesko and I ended up getting about 20 witnesses, which was a lot of witnesses, a lot of forms. So that was done. And then we got to the day. I was so freaking nervous. I got there at 8 o'clock, an hour before, to make sure everything was set up. And then I went to the bathroom, and I just sat on the floor. I just like, what am I going to be doing for the next 2 days? So I texted everybody, hey, if I don't answer you in 2 days, I'm not dead. I'm not in trouble. I'm good. But when we stepped on the court for the first time, I'm like, I'm going to be on this court for 2 days. And it wasn't the most pleasant times. A lot of not fighting, but like disagreements on things with other people on the other team. But we fought through it. I hallucinated 3 times. I thought the light was going to fall on me a couple times. I don't know if you know like the lighting of Family Guy. I thought I was in Family Guy with the lighting on. That was Saturday night. And then the court at Ace is blue, and I thought I was in the ocean. So I started swaying back and forth. And then, this was a true thing that happened. Joe from Public Safety came, and I was eating a piece of pizza, and I looked over. Is that Joe Robinson?
You thought you saw a mirage.
I thought I saw a random person, but no, Joe was there.
He was actually the one who announced to the Nightly News that you had officially accomplished the goal, which I thought was so cool because I woke up, I get notifications on my phone, and Joe confirmed because Arsenio and I, we weren't there at the end, and so it was awesome to know from somebody because I didn't want to bother you for a good 2 days because I want you to get some sleep. But it was really cool. So shout out to Joe for alerting the Nightly News Nation that you accomplished your goal.
And I was really like drawn back because that's the last person I think who would come out on because he doesn't live on this side of the river. So I'm just surprised he came over on his day off. So that was a great support from the Central Penn community. But I almost quit after we hit the world record because I was done. My knee was almost shattered, but I kept going. We had the goal. We're going to go 48 and then cut it. That's it. Yeah, but Sunday morning, we had that little disagreement around 42 hours. So we got through the disagreement, confirmed we're going for 48 no matter what. And then 6 a.m. hit. That's when the club opens. Everyone started coming in. We probably had around 50 people for about 2 hours cheering us on.
That's awesome.
It was... We wouldn't be able to do it without the people, like the witnesses or the fans, because the hardest times were at night, like
overnight.
10 p.m.
When it's quiet.
10 p.m., 6 a.m. We did have music, but that doesn't help. So I actually took a nap right before the disagreement. It was about for 7 minutes outside.
Do you call that a nap? I mean,
it was a nap for me. It was outside. That was actually the first snow of the year. It wasn't much snow, but it was still flurrying. And I almost cried because I just love snow so much, and it was like perfect timing. Yeah, so that was pretty much. Oh, and at the 48-hour mark, we had, like I said, like 50 people just cheering. And then the weird thing is, our marathon clock stopped at 48 hours, automatically stopped. We didn't want it to automatically stop, but that was the weird part, but actually the pretty good part, so we had to stop.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to go to Arsenio real quick because one of the things, so we both actually got to work as a witness at the same time. I want to say I came down Saturday around
morning.
noon-ish.
Afternoon-ish, yeah.
You were there at the same time. However, you had told me that you were the witness overnight, Friday, Saturday. What was that like going over in the middle of the night? I'm sure it was a much different vibe than when we were there in the afternoon.
It was a lot quiet. I actually got there maybe like 2 minutes late. I apologize.
6 minutes late.
Well, hold on. You were there in the middle of the night, right?
I know, but Andrew knew I was on my way. I had to stop by Wawa to get some snacks. And
Coffee.
I made sure that I said Wawa. That I made sure that Andrew got his Ghost, so he was well supplied, and I got him a couple snacks. And then it was real calm. It was real chill. I met an older lady out there. I can't think of her name right now, but we were sitting there talking, and she was telling me how she played pickleball too, and she's a member of the club, and just getting to know her, getting a little background, and then still watching Andrew. I remember walking in, he had his Lakers jersey on. I'm like, oh yeah, my guy's ready to ball.
Well, so you accomplished your goal. Not that it necessarily matters, but which team won?
Steve Dunham and Steve Lesko won. I think they won by like 30 games.
Out of how many games did you play in 48 hours?
224 and a half.
Oh my gosh.
Insanity.
We were winning the last game. It was like 9-4. I remember that vividly.
But I mean, hey, even though you weren't victorious, really what I want to talk about is all of these nonprofit organizations. I mean, I can speak to when Arsenio and I were there, and you were doing a variety of raffles, and people could buy tickets and often just go give donations. Do you have just a general idea of the total amount of money that you raised through this between the four of you?
It was $6,122.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah, wow.
That's incredible. And that just goes to show you not only how supportive the Central Penn community is, but how supportive the pickleball community is as a whole. Not only are you talking about people showing up at 6 a.m. to cheer you on through your final hour plus, you're also talking about in 2 days raising over $6,000 $6,000 for these 4 amazing organizations, man. I just give you so much credit for doing this and frankly just making it. I had a conversation with Arsenio earlier today. I can't even recall a time that I've stayed up the entire night anytime recently, and I'll tell you, it would be a challenge for me to even make it 24, let alone 48 consecutive hours. For me, I don't think I would want to even try to sleep, because I've always been one of those people, like, I'd rather just stay up than get a half hour or an hour of sleep. You know what I mean? Because if I sleep for 30 minutes, I'm not getting back up. Yeah. I'd been afraid if I would have went outside for a 7-minute nap, you wouldn't have gotten me out of bed. But that's a separate conversation. Congratulations!
Thank you.
$6,000. It's incredible. And then again, it just goes to show I was pleasantly surprised with the amount of people who were donating and buying tickets and really getting involved with it. So congratulations to you on that. Just a couple of things that I want to talk about before we get out of here today. Number one, unfortunately, this world record only stood for 16 hours. And another group actually beat you guys by, what did you say, about an hour?
Yeah, about an hour, yeah.
How did you even find out about this? Was it demoralizing to you that somebody else that quickly after this? You're probably still asleep before you even realize that this is happening. Tell me a little bit more about when you heard about that.
Hold on, Andrew, I don't mean to cut you off, but I remember when I was there, Andrew told me to look this group up, and he said, they're doing the same challenge as us. I was like, no way. So I ended up looking them up. I forget, what was the name of it?
The Pickle Breakers, yes.
The Pickle Breakers, yeah. And I was looking, I was like, yo, Andrew, like, you got to go longer. Like, you got to.
So the Pickle Breakers are the actual ones who had the 36-hour unofficial record. They actually have more connections down in Dallas, because that's where pickleball is, like, even bigger than it is here. So they know Dave Fleming, who's, like, the main announcer for the PPA tour, and he got it on Pickleball TV. So that's like the ESPN of pickleball. And
like
then,
ESPN 8.
Yeah, basically, yes. But PPA was just actually on CBS on Sunday, so it was pretty good for the sport. We didn't know each other were doing it. I actually kind of knew before. I didn't tell anyone else just because I didn't want that in anyone's head. But their original goal was 40 hours. So they were in and out of our stream, seeing like how we're doing, what we're at. So we actually cut the stream from YouTube and put it into our Ace Pickleball Club Enola Facebook group, so only members could see. But they also had a stream, so we had a member say that we hit 48, so that gave them the motivation to go for 49.
So essentially, that person might have harmed the whole situation. No offense to that individual, but just in all seriousness. Yeah. So
They should have said 45.
Andrew, with that all being said, number one, you were a Guinness Book of World Records holder. I mean, this is unbelievable. It's such an accomplishment. But I would also argue the fact that you raised over $6,000 has to lessen the sting somewhat. I don't know. I'm not really sure. You're a very mild-mannered person, which is to your benefit, but you seem at peace with the fact that the record has been broken already.
Yeah, this record's broken out a lot of opportunities for me. Like, I got sponsored by Selkirk, which is like one of the biggest companies in the world for pickleball. And like the $6,000, that's the more important part.
Congratulations on that also.
Thank you. It's helping more people than some satisfaction of having a world record.
Well, I think the biggest question here is, number one, you've had the opportunity. I'll be perfectly honest, and we actually shared this link. The Nightly News podcast is a little late to the party here. You guys actually appeared on the Spark on WITF, which one of our former Vice President Hannah Pasquarella was an intern with. She pitched the story to WITF. Next thing you know, Andrew Hunter on regional radio. So tell me a little bit more about that experience with the Spark.
So that was an interesting situation. WITF is I didn't know it was that big of a facility. Awesome. It was huge.
You went to the one over off of Lindell?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was exceptional. I didn't think it was that big. And the studios, there's so many studios. And then we got into this room about this size with a round table, mics, everything. And then it was just surreal. We were also on Brian Christiana's podcast, which that was pretty awesome too.
Nightly News Hall of Famer Brian Christiana.
Yeah, and we actually did that in the back room of Ace. on a really cold day, and there's no ventilation back there except from the outside air. So Renee had a sweatshirt on, like 3 blankets on, and then I'm over here with just a t-shirt. Oh, I actually had a sweatshirt, and then just shorts. So we were both shivering, like, oh, it was horrible. But they were both great experiences and more exposure for us.
So now that your third podcast that now you've been on, and you received a lot of attention. There was actually other local news outlets. Penn Live reported on this as well. I mean, you got a ton of coverage. So, man, I just got to congratulate you. And again, even though, unfortunately, the record no longer stands, to your point, that money that was raised, and not only that, just the experience itself. I mean, you'll remember this for the rest of your life.
I definitely will.
Well, I do want to leave you with just a taste. There's maybe preliminary discussions that you might give it a go to break the Pickle Breakers record. But to whatever extent you feel comfortable, share with us what that looks like.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. We thought about it. We talked about it right after we completed 48 hours because we knew they were going to come back. But we're thinking about it. We'll see. We'll see what all the other 3.
And I can just leave you with this. I mean, you've gotten this much notoriety this time. You can get even more and raise even more money potentially. And maybe this is something that sooner or later somebody's going to have to stop. I mean, there's got to be a finite number of hours that this could go. But
yeah, if we do it, we want to make it unbreakable.
Listen, Andrew, first of all, thank you for being you. Thank you for all your contributions to the Nightly News over the years. But thank you so much for not only how you made this about more than just you and your group, and how that the volunteerism aspect of this, the financial donations that people made really became center stage. I mean, to me, that's the most commendable part of all of this. So I just to thank you, and I'm thanking you for all of the people that you're helping as well.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, doing something you love to do to help out a cause that you're really passionate about really means a lot.
Yeah, it does, definitely.
Thanks, Andrew.
Well, listen, Andrew, I want you to promise me something. That if you come up with another idea like this, that we are the ones that get you first.
Okay.
Because we were at the back of the line here. In fairness, it all came together after our schedule was set. I want you to, I will bump anybody to make sure that the announcement is live here on the Nightly News Podcast. So as long as you can commit that to me,
let's do it.
I will be forever indebted to you.
We gotta wait for around the springtime. We'll have something.
I will keep a wide open slot for you.
Awesome.
All right. Well, as always, Arsenio, thank you so much for all that you're doing, and thank you for being on the podcast. Thank you for being a witness at this the pickleball record.
Thank you.
And thanks for continuing to do all the things that you do. And we got some big plans coming up for baseball for Arsenio, but we're going to keep that on the DL for right now.
Go Knights.
And Andrew, as always, Nightly News Hall of Famer. What else is there to say but thank you, and just keep being you, and it's always a pleasure to work with you.
Thank you for having me on.
All right. Well, hey, that's going to do it for this episode of the Nightly News Podcast. For Nightly News reporter Arsenio Humphrey, for Nightly News Hall of Famer Andrew Hunter, this is Professor Paul Miller, and we'll see you again next time on the Nightly News Podcast.
This is Andrew Hunter, Nightly News sports reporter, and you're listening to the Nightly News Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Nightly News Podcast. This is Professor Paul Miller, and I'm so honored to be joined by Nightly News President Noah Lopez. Noah, welcome back to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me, and I'm really excited to talk about the film today.
Well, a couple things. I want to first tell everybody why we are here today. Of course, we are promoting the upcoming CPC Film Series, where Noah will present Fight Club on Friday, February 27th at 6 o'clock. Also going to be talking about a little something Noah has planned for before the film, as well as some of the things that Noah will talk about in his presentation. Noah, first of all, usually the first question I ask here is, why did you pick the film? But I'm not going to go there just yet.
Okay.
We'll get there. One of the things that I did alongside our 10th anniversary as the Nightly News, which happened last year in 2025. We started late as an official club in October of 2015. So last October of 2015, right about the Hall of Fame time, was our official sort of 10 year. And as I was putting together our program for the Nightly News Hall of Fame, one of the things that I wanted to do was pick out really important and influential dates. In the history of our club. So I went back and like the first.
Yeah, I saw that in the brochure. Yeah,
like the first time we did a game and things like that, right?
First time you ever did the podcast. First time you ever hosted the different events.
Which I might point out the next podcast we are on will actually be our 10th anniversary of the first podcast.
Oh my goodness! What
with Steve? Which I believe you'll be on that episode as well. So
fantastic!
You'll have a part in that.
I have a little guest appearance.
So one of the things that had, in a way, bothered me a little bit is there were we had been doing the film series for so long that I'd forgotten some of not the people. Like I could list off the people who presented and what they presented, but when. Like I was trying to figure out like a timeline of like who presented when. So I took an afternoon and I hunted down every single date, presenter,
you message all the people.
I went through my calendar.
Okay.
I went through old nightly news publications. I mean, I picked out everything I could do. And I realized something. Before our last film series presentation, which we just did, which was Scream, which was amazing, had such a blast from
that one was the best.
I realized something, Noah.
What did you realize?
That the last time that we did Scream was the 29th iteration of the CPC Film Series.
Oh, yeah.
And therefore, this coming up presentation is number 30.
Oh, that's a big number.
Now, one of the things that I can tell fans of the Nightly News to keep an eye out for is I am putting together a really cool sort of retrospective of our 30 editions of the CPC Film Series. So definitely want to look forward to that. But Noah, I mean, it just kind of worked out that way. It's not like we said, hey, Noah, we want you to do the 30th one.
Nah.
You had just stepped up. Obviously, you're about a term and a half away from completing your bachelor's degree here.
Oh, don't talk about it. Don't talk about it.
Well, hey, I can always fail you in your internship, and then we can keep you around a little while.
Hey!
I say that to everybody. Of
my
course, I
goodness.
would never do something like that.
Yeah.
Point being, you've been quite involved in the film series in your time here. What does that mean to you to have the honor to be able to present number 30?
Well, okay, so I have been quite involved with the film series, but I also haven't. I mean, most of my time I have, but most of the time I've been here, Nick has been the movie guy. Nick was the movie guy, and I kind of...
You have been involved in every single Nightly News film series since you've been here.
Yeah, but, I mean, I help with concessions. I've been present for all of them.
Are you helping?
Yeah.
Are you helping? Are we down? Who's down there setting up the theater before
the
show?
That's me. I
and
guess.
me. We do it together. Listen, my point is yes, Nick at the time was reporting.
He was the movie guy.
And now Alex is doing that. That doesn't mean that you're not involved.
True.
You are an integral piece of us being able to put this show on. So in that respect, you can talk about what it means to actually, number one, be able to present, but number two, be able to present number 30.
Yeah. Well, I want to say, as someone who has helped out with the film series, of course, I've also been an audience member to every single one that I've been to since I've came here in 2023, and just being the person on the other side of it this time around in the 30th one. It's pretty big, I will say. I mean, I didn't think about it that way, but it's the 30th. It'll be one of my final film series before I graduate. It'll be a very big accolade for me. I've never hosted one of these before, and just thinking about it and reflecting upon it, like, okay, I've been an audience member for 3 years, and now I'm hosting. It's big. It's a big shoes to fill. I have to fill the shoes of everyone before me. I'm like stepping into the role like the Avatar. All right, have to go into flow state here, but I am very excited. I have big things planned. We'll talk about that later on the podcast. And overall, I'm just looking forward to presenting. I mean, I like presenting. I'm a very stage person, so I'm not nervous at all whatsoever. So I know that's pretty crazy to say, but yeah.
I've done this. I've done this several times, and I got to be honest with you. It can be nerve-wracking.
It's a little nerve-wracking. I mean, maybe I mess up or I'll give incorrect facts, but I think it'll be okay.
I think that you're going to do a tremendous job. You're continuing a tradition of Nightly News presidents presenting.
Oh?
Leslie, Jen, Nick, Dylan all presented as part of students presenting. as part of the film series, so you're keeping up with that tradition. And again, I just think, if nothing else, and this is what I hope to communicate with everybody through this article, is that I think it's amazing that we have been able to keep this going for such a period of time through COVID. We didn't miss one during COVID. Even during COVID, we didn't actually miss one of the film series. So that was actually when I was creating the final out documentary that I did. And so that was actually, we did a virtual screening, which was really cool because we had a lot of the people from the film in it, which I thought was really neat. So anyway, point being, the fact that we've been able to keep this going for such a long period of time, I think is something that's very, very valuable, and something that I certainly hope that in the future that we're able to keep moving.
I wonder if when the other presidents did theirs, I wonder if it was at the 10, the 20. That would be funny.
I mean, I certainly could look into that and see, and I think once it comes time for me to actually put that article out, I will have some type of reference.
Probably find out the accolades.
Yeah, I will have some sort of reference to when people presented when, even if I just put up like a separate article or something like that that just has the individuals who are part of that. So anyway, I don't want to belabor that point, other than to say that, congratulations on presenting on number 30, and hopefully here's to 30 more film series in the future.
Yes, 30 more. I mean, what you said about being able to do it for so long, it is impressive because you have to get a different person every time. Well, you don't always have a different person, but you try.
We have had people present multiple times. Yeah. I have presented several times. Professor Olympia has presented several times. Dr. Reif has presented several times. So it doesn't always have to be.
And now that I think about it, I wish I presented more,
Hey, you can always come back as an alumni and present in the future. Nick has already presented. Dylan has presented twice, and we're hoping to have them down the road.
I've never seen his movie, so I'm excited to see that.
Well, we're keeping a lid on that for at least currently, but we will certainly announce the spring film series very soon once we have some details confirmed. Anyway, let's move on.
Yes.
Back to the original question at hand, Noah. What inspired you to pick Fight Club? Now, I want to be very clear.
Yes.
It's not always possible in terms of our licensing to get every film.
Yes.
This was one of the films that you had considered. What were some of the other films that you had considered, and then how did you finally land on Fight Club?
Okay. So, this is kind of funny. So, you first told me, hey, we need someone for the film series. And I was like, man, I'm leaving soon. Why don't I do it? And he's like, oh, that's a great idea. You should do it. I'm like, okay. So then what I decided to do is I went on IMDb and I just looked at in the beginning I just looked at what were the highest rated movies, what were some of the best movies of all time, because if I want to present a movie, I want it to be a good movie that people are going to enjoy watching, not a poopy movie. Okay. So I looked up that first and I was like, okay, what about Godfather? Don't tell anybody this, but I've never seen Godfather before. So I kind of wanted to watch that with other people and have that be the film series. I also thought of Shawshank Redemption, and I also thought of what was the other one?
For frame of reference, while you're thinking about that, I always go off IMDb. Number 1, Shawshank Redemption. Number 2, Godfather. Number 3, Dark Knight. Number 4, Godfather 2. 12 Angry Men, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, Schindler's List, Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring.
Gee, Lord of the Rings is up there so many times.
Pulp Fiction, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, and number 11, The Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, and then Forrest Gump.
Yeah, so, wait, Godfather's on there twice?
Godfather 1 and 2.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. But that's what I thought of originally. And then I was like, this is a winter film series, so I want to pick winter films, like winter-y films with snow, films that have the theme of cold or snow or take place in the winter. So my number one pick, and I was so sad we couldn't do it, was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Narnia. That story itself has had a large impact on me in my life. When I was a child, I had to read the book. My parents had me read so I could get smarter. That's why I read Narnia.
It worked.
But I liked Narnia, and it was it stuck with me for that time period. And Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was also one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. I always liked the lion character. He was voiced by Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson's super cool. He has a cool voice, and as a voice person myself, that was kind of one of my first interactions with dude, voices are kind of cool. I want to get into that. Or that's awesome to hear. It was just, he's such a booming, powerful presence. And also, I don't know if people knew this, probably did, but Santa was in that movie, so I don't know if that's a Christmas movie or not. But Santa was in that movie.
That wasn't something that came up in my holiday research.
Oh,
but,
Santa was in that movie. He was like a main-ish character, and he gave the kids presents, and it was like weapons so they could fight in the war or something.
That's great.
So there was that, and then there was other random winter movies I wanted to do. I really don't know what they were. I was just picking them because they were snow. But I landed on Fight Club at the end of the day.
Well, I want to just interject there, and I
Yeah.
tried to explain that while we had done themed movies in the past, even just in the past couple of years, Groundhog Day and Scream, around, that they don't have to be themed.
Yeah, but I like following a theme.
And
You know,
that's,
I like patterns.
That's perfectly fine, but it's not every one of them was themed. So I remember when I told you that, you were like, oh, okay. Because I guess a lot of the ones that we had done in the past were more themed.
They
right?
were. So I was just
So
like, okay.
when I said that, you were like, okay, that opens up some more options.
Then I could pick different movies. And I land on Fight Club. Well, originally I didn't want to pick Fight Club because I just saw it recently. And I didn't want to watch it again so close together. But it's been a while since then. It was in October of 2025. It's January 2026 right now. And but I picked it because sadly the other options we couldn't really do those.
Right. And so that's one
And-
thing, sort of a peek behind the curtain, if you will, is that we, through our movie licensing organization, there are only certain films we can get. In the past, I can't say that we've had problems, but not every movie is there. So I floated those.
Like Whiplash. Whiplash wasn't on there.
Correct.
I really wanted to see that one.
I floated a couple of these ideas to our movie licensing company, and unfortunately they were not able to get them. And then I actually went through a second movie licensing company because you had mentioned that you had just seen Fight Club for the first time. And so I just, taking a shot in the dark, wanted to see if we could get Fight Club.
Just wanted to see, you know.
Just to see, so I could provide you with some options, and we could.
Yeah.
And so I went back to Noah and I said, man, I'm really sorry. These particular films are not available, but Fight Club is.
Yep.
Is this something that you'd be willing to go forward
And,
with? I also remember real quick,
Mhm.
you had just seen the movie. You knew that I liked the movie,
Yeah.
and you came to me like almost how I was when I first
Yeah,
saw
I'm like,
it.
what? What is this film? Dr. Miller, why didn't you tell me? What?
I am surprised that I didn't tell you.
Yeah,
but
like you didn't tell me how cool this movie was. I just thought it was. I mean, we can talk about this right now. I thought originally, and I'm sure most people do, and I don't want to spoil it, but originally I thought Fight Club was a fight club. I mean, it is a fight club. It is a fight club, but it's not like a fight club. I thought it was like a boxing movie. Or I thought it was like a movie like Creed, where it was like an underground fighting ring, and they had matches, and it was like, you know, Rocky or something like that. That's what I thought the movie was.
One of the interesting
not.
One of the interesting things, though, Noah,
Yeah.
and again, you may talk about this during your presentation, is that this movie, number one, I left off the top films with Forrest Gump because the very next one after Forrest Gump is Fight Club. Fight Club comes in at number 13 of the top 250 IMDb movies.
Yeah, it's pretty high.
Which is amazing in my personal opinion. And
It's got what? It's a 9?
it's at
Or
an
is it
8. It's at an 8.8.
8.
I want to be clear that even the best movie, Shawshank Redemption, is a 9.3.
Yeah, true.
All the way down to, let's see, number 8 is an 8.9, and then the 8.8 start at number 9 with Pulp Fiction. They're going down to the fractional, but 2.6 million people have rated Fight Club, and it is the number 13 top movie on IMDb.
And I think that's an accurate spot because it was really good. So
Without question.
yeah,
Here's the problem.
I would put it in top 10 personally, but you know,
me as well.
Yeah,
My point here is that Fight Club is known today as a sort of a cult classic, sort of a more underground movie, not necessarily one that was all that successful. Interestingly enough, even back in late 1999, because the movie actually came out October 17th, 1999.
It did?
It had a $63 million budget, which today is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
But back then was a very strong budget for a feature film.
you got to calculate for inflation.
Now, the gross in the U.S. and Canada was only $37 million. Now, yes, they did
That's a bomb.
They did get to over $100 million worldwide.
Okay.
But I would argue that the filmmakers at the time probably thought that this was a not successful picture.
I mean, when you look at the numbers, it doesn't look like it.
Well,
But it was. I mean,
so in the long term, yes, it's still in the day and age of DVDs. The amount of they probably sold 10 million DVDs at some point. Everybody's got a copy of Fight Club, and in fact, I need to remember to bring mine in because that's the copy we're going to watch.
Yes, please.
But
Please
my point here is part of the reason that it didn't do well at the box office, to your point, is that it was mismarketed. That I remember when it first came out, and the way that they painted the movie was that it was a very aggressive movie, and that it was sort of
it is in a sense
barbaric in a way. Yeah, it's barbaric on the surface with crazy undertones.
It has political commentary.
Without a doubt, and we can certainly talk
Lots
about
of political
that.
Commentary.
One thing that Noah did say is we're definitely not going to spoil the ending, neither here nor in his presentation.
Not even going to say it. So you guys have to watch it. You have to wait.
But the way that it was marketed was like, hey, this is sort of like a UFC. They were going like after a UFC type.
Actually, my
audience.
buddy, my roommate, he was into UFC, and he's what introduced me to the movie. So I thought from him, just his ethos, I'm like, okay, so it's probably a UFC movie. And
again, on the surface, that's the way that it was marketed. Unfortunately, it drew sort of the wrong crowd. I mean, not that there's ever a wrong crowd for a movie, but the way that it was marketed did not match up with the way that the movie actually unfolds.
And you'll see that when we watch it, guys. The first minute, I was already... Just the first minute of the movie, I'm like, wait, what? What is this movie, dude?
So, Noah, you'd mentioned that there is a social commentary to this.
Yes.
And I don't think it's giving anything away about what that is, but do you want to talk about what your impressions were, not only about what that commentary is of and how it impacted you when you first saw this film?
I'm just going to say, I think the movie reminds me a lot of the Joker from Batman. That's all I could think about. The Dark Knight. And visually.
Visually, I would agree. I mean, different filmmakers.
But I really, like, every single time I was watching, I'm like, dude, this is Joker. This is Joker. This is Joker from Batman. Like, where's Batman, bro? But also,
you could certainly argue that Heath Ledger's character in The Dark Knight was
inspired by Fight Club.
In a way, inspired by the commentary that Fight Club provided. Because you got to remember, Fight Club preceded Dark Knight by. I mean, Dark Knight came out in 08.
A lot of years.
So almost a decade.
I think it's actually true because if we look at the comics, right, I don't think Joker was like that. Joker was just a crazy clown that would do funny things. That's all he was. So I think that probably was inspired.
Well, Christopher Nolan at the time, his first film, Memento, came out right about the same time that Fight Club came out. So, I mean, I've never seen Christopher Nolan say that he was inspired by Fight Club, but it'd certainly be hard not to be. I mean, Fight Club was the biggest film, one of the biggest films in the early 2000s. I mean, if you're talking about not only just when it came out in late 99, but the impact that it had over that next half decade as a
impact
filmmaker.
On style too.
Yeah,
I saw a lot of dudes trying to be just like Tyler.
100%. So tell me about the social commentary that you see and how that impacted
you.
So
in the movie, there's a lot of social commentaries. There's a lot of social commentaries on psychological state of men and how they feel in society and how they feel about their role and how they fit in. Some of it can be relatable to some people who maybe feel lonely or feel like they don't belong in where they are and they want to find a place to fit in. Or it has a lot of aspects of depression in it as well. So
there's no question about that.
But it also has social commentary on capitalism, just consumerism as a whole. It talks about talks a lot about how like we just buy things to satisfy our needs to buy more things, And sometimes I don't know. I'm going to say it like this. We buy things so we can buy things so we can work to buy more things. Because think about when you buy something, you're spending your money on it and you're working to get that money because you feel like you need to do something with your money,
that
right?
Purchase is going to solve some hole
it's going to solve some hole. Or you need this money so you can get this thing because if you don't get this thing, then why are you getting money, right? Because money is used to purchase.
It almost is sort of...
That's so confusing when you think about it.
No, not at all. It's almost a counter to money buys happiness.
Yes.
In that money leads to a lot of stress, anxiety, grief, and emptiness is almost, in my opinion, what Fight Club is
emptiness,
talking
I think,
about.
is probably... I think emptiness is the main message of the movie.
from the very beginning when, and again, we're not giving anything away here, when the narrator is going through the catalog and is saying about all these very particular types of things that he would like for his house or his clothing, or it's been a little while since I've seen it, so I've only seen it about 20 times. So
only 20?
I'm going off of memory here.
You're just describing every scene in detail, by the way.
But my point here is that, let me just rewind here for just a second. This movie, and I've shared a lot about my film love and impacts that it's had. I remember, Noah, where I saw this movie when it came out in the theater when I was 18 years old.
You saw it in the theater?
I saw it in the theater.
Okay.
I was back from college for a weekend. The person who I was dating at the time was working. I got together with a friend, and while she was working, we went to the theater, and I left the theater that night a different person.
Dude, that's how the movie. That's what the movie does to you, man.
In my view of
does.
capitalism, but also as a man who was in a way struggling to find my place in the world at that age. So maybe it was just right place, right time.
Yeah.
But in terms of a consumeristic perspective, I was really, really taken aback to how poignant it was. And Noah, here's the thing. This movie holds up. There's
it's still accurate to this day, by the way, guys.
26 years later.
They're way ahead of their time. Way ahead of their time.
And that's what's so interesting to me. And that's part of, and as we come back to sort of the main piece, that's part of what this film series is about. We're watching these timeless films, and just in recent memory, Sleepy Hollow, High Noon, Scream, Groundhog Day, movies that change the trajectory of film as a whole and speak to sort of the societal importance of film that, in a way, and we can kind of end here in a minute, is being lost today, because the only films that we're seeing at the movies anymore are these big action blockbusters, which have their place.
Oh man, don't get me started on movies nowadays. I hate them.
But that's my point.
Them.
Much of the really high end creative talent in film is coming through television and streaming.
Yeah, and even television and streaming. I just want to go on tangent just for a second.
Please.
Television and streaming has what I like to call Netflixification, okay? It's where these programs will purposefully make bad shows to be played in the background. That's why you'll notice the acting is very cookie cutter. All the actors look like they're made out of Play-Doh, and the camera quality is super, super high quality, so it looks fake to the point where you can't really get invested. I really, really like to compare live action shows that I watch to Breaking Bad. I'm sure you love Breaking Bad.
Of course.
The camera angles and the way they filmed the show made it feel like you were actually, these are real people. Like there's real people living their lives. When I watch your average new Netflix show, for example, I watched a movie called Jingle Bell Heist. It was a romance movie. It's not really my type of movie, so it was probably corny on purpose, but also just the acting was terrible. It was so, I was cringing every single second of every line that was said in that movie, and I think it might have been the worst movie I've ever seen. I'm sorry. One of the worst movies I've ever seen, genuinely. Worse than Morbius.
Well, real quick, I just want to recap. Of course, please join us for Noah's Film Series presentation on Friday, February 27th at Capitol Blue Cross Theater as Noah Lopez presents Fight Club. Noah, just really quick,
yes,
you're going to do something a little special. This is not to the level of the haunted house situation.
No, that was crazy.
Give us a quick once-over about what you're going to do before the show.
Yeah, I almost forgot to talk about this. So, everyone, before the show at about 5 to 5:45 p.m., just about that time, you can come at 5 if you want. We'll start if people are there.
Let's just say 5:30. That gives us a good half hour or so.
I will be hosting a arm wrestling tournament to test your wits. So if anyone is interested in coming in to the arm wrestling tournament, there will be a prize for the winner. I will not spoil it, but it is going to be a monetary prize, okay? There'll be a prize for the winner, and you got to test your wits. There's going to be a couple rounds. It's going to be in your typical tournament
style. Test your
style.
Wits or test your strength?
Both.
I mean, these are
strength of wits.
So is this? It's not just a standard arm wrestling. There's a trivia in arm wrestling.
No, there's no trivia.
Okay.
You have to use strategy to win an arm wrestling.
Gotcha.
Tournament. You might think it's just strength, but always remember,
I'm gonna have
brains over brawn.
I'm gonna have to look into the strategy of arm wrestling. So
they have tournaments, real like competitive things, and people bet on them. So they got to be crazy. But if you guys are interested in coming, and you think you're strong enough, and you think you have what it takes, please come to the arm wrestling tournament.
We'll start that around
Yeah.
5:30, 5:45. So
Yeah.
that'll give us a good half-hour buffer between that and your presentation. Well, Noah,
yeah.
thank you as always. It is such a pleasure to have you on the show. I appreciate you being here, but most importantly, I appreciate you stepping up for the 30th edition of the CPC Film Series.
Which I didn't know until you told me, so.
Well, even better. And listen, I look forward to putting out the sort of film series retrospective that's coming out in the very near future from me.
Looking forward to being interviewed.
And again, you, of course, the piece will be put up by Alex just after the show as well. So as always, Noah, I thank you for being here, but I thank you for taking on this additional task.
Of course.
And
Just
Flight
like
Club.
all the other things I'm doing at the same time, you know?
Hey, there's nothing wrong with keeping busy.
Of course.
All right. Well, again, please join us Friday, February 27th at 6 o'clock in the Capitol Blue Cross Theater as Noah presents Fight Club. But Noah, as always, thank you so much for being here on the podcast. We look forward to having you back.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Well, hopefully it's for
I'll be back.
Hopefully it's for our 10th anniversary of the podcast that will be out on our next episode.
Yes.
All right. Well, hey, that's going to do it for this episode of the Nightly News Podcast. I want to thank Nightly News President Noah Lopez for being here today. But for Professor Paul Miller, we'll see you again next time on the Nightly News Podcast.
Bye, guys.